You know, it is said that dynamite comes in small packages, and that's definitely true of tonight's gospel reading. It is a short gospel reading, but it is very dynamic. And the gospel reading tonight comes from the 12th chapter of Luke, verses 49 to 53. And this gospel reading is one that if your family is divided tonight, this gospel reading is for you. If you're having trouble accepting the differences you have with other family members, this gospel reading is for you. If bringing up the subject of religion is a sore spot in your family and always leads to some style of altercation, this gospel reading is for you. If you have trouble getting together with family and trying to avoid certain subjects, because if a certain subject comes up, there's going to be some style of argument, then this gospel reading is definitely for you. So let's take a look at what I consider the most powerful verse out of today's gospel reading. It's actually half a verse. Jesus asked us this incredible question. Let's look at verse 51a of the 12th chapter of Luke. Jesus says this: "Do you think that I've come to establish peace on earth?" That's a powerful question. Instead of answering that individually, we're going to answer it collectively. Now, that's a yes or no answer. So if you feel in your heart that Jesus come to establish peace on the earth, say yes. Okay. Well, then there's got to be some of you who are thinking no. If you think that Jesus has come to establish peace on the earth, you feel that is not the case, say no. Okay, that's amazing. We got some no's. Now, what I want you to do is take a look at the crucifix. Just feast your eye on that crucifix, and what you see is a man who died on a cross for our sins, to teach us how to receive forgiveness and hopefully how to give forgiveness. So I'm going to ask that question once more. That's a yes or no answer. 51a says this: Jesus asked his disciple this question: "Do you think I've come to establish peace in the earth?" Those who say yes, believe that's the case, say yes. And those who feel it's no? Okay, now let's take a look. And I'm glad you're divided on that answer, because that's the way it should have been. That's what I was hoping would happen. Because if you listen to the gospel I just read, what Jesus does is something he never usually does whenever he asks a question. Jesus asks the question, and lo and behold, he gives an answer to the very question he asked. Now that was verse 51a of the 12th chapter of Luke. Let's look at verse 51b, the second half of verse 51, and verse 52 and 53 to acquire this answer. And there it is. No, I tell you. So initially, I appreciate those who said yes. I appreciate those who had the courage to say no, because Jesus gives us this absurd answer. No, I tell you, but rather division. I haven't come for peace, but rather division. I say to myself, Jesus, that sounds absurd. I thought you were a peaceful man. I thought you wanted our families to be united, to be one. What are you talking about? You've come for division. And then Jesus enumerates the style of division that apparently he's trying to foster. Look what he says. From now on, a household of 5 will be divided 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. A father will be divided against a son and a son against his father. A mother against her daughter and a daughter against her mother. A mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And I say to myself, Jesus, what exactly you're talking about? It is the opposite. Now this is the answer you're giving to the very question that you ask. And why are you promoting this style of division? There's already enough of division going on in our homes. And I understand of all those different divisions, according to psychologists, the most popular is the last one. A mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, a daughter-in-law against a mother-in-law, that seems to be rampant. Especially if you're the mother-in-law and your son is the one married to the other woman. Why that style of division? Now, what we have to do is go back in the historical context. You see, prior to Jesus coming on the earth, and in the early years of Jesus, people fell into just 2 categories. That was it. There were just 2 categories of people in early civilization. Let's take a look at the 2 categories. There were Jews and Gentiles. You were either a Jew or you were a Gentile. Now, the Jews had a religion called Judaism. The Gentiles, also known as pagans, had absolutely no religion. And so if back prior to Jesus, a little over 2,000 years ago, and during those early years of Jesus, you were one or you were the other. There wasn't any middle territory. You're the Jew with Judaism or a Gentile. Now, when Jesus comes on board and he starts to preach the message of love and forgiveness, and he acquires his original 12 apostles to promote that same message, what do? The first thing they do is they turn to their own kind. All the original apostles were Jewish. They all ascribed early on to Judaism until they said yes to Christ. And so they turned to their own kind. They turned to the Jews, trying to find converts among the Jews who already had a religion called Judaism. They were a little successful, not real successful, but they had some success. So in a given Jewish family, you would now have some Jews practicing Judaism, and in a given family, you would have some practicing Christianity. There was the division that Jesus Christ is talking about. It was a division of religion. Some accepting Christ, some not accepting Christ. It was not a division based upon finances. It wasn't a division based upon greed. It wasn't a division based upon avarice. It was a division based upon religion. Some saying yes to Christ, some saying no to Christ. And what the early apostles did is after they found a little bit of success, not much among the Jews, they turned to the Gentiles. The Gentiles had no religion. You can sell something to someone they don't have what you're trying to sell. Now, they didn't have any religion, so they went to the Gentiles to see if maybe these Gentiles would hear their message and subscribe to Christianity. They found greater success there, but not 100% successful. So in any given Gentile family, some converted to Christianity. Some say, no, I like it the way it is. I'm not going to ascribe to Christianity at all. So the group was no longer homogeneous. They were not divided. They were divided by religion. Some saying yes to Christ, some saying no. And the same thing still happens today in our homes, in our lives. Think about your family. Your immediate family, your extended family. You probably have some folks in your family who have said yes to Christ. That's what you have done, and that's why you're here tonight. You might have some family members who are Catholic, in a good Catholic home, but for some reason right now, they don't even go to Catholic church. They don't go to any church. They don't ascribe to any religion. How do you accommodate yourself to that style of difference? What are you going to do about it? Now, that's the challenge that Jesus presents. The division. You know, I was reading in, again, my favorite magazine, I just referenced it a few moments ago, called Psychology Today magazine. And there was this article about a set of conjoined twins. Some people refer to conjoined twins as Siamese twins. Now, this particular set of conjoined twins, they were two girls. Twin girls. They were connected at the chest. They shared one stomach and they shared one heart. Therefore, the idea of separating these twins, the family, the parents said, no way. It's not even on the radar screen, because to separate them, one would have to die. They shared just one heart, no two. Separating them, not a possibility. Now, since they shared one heart and one stomach, and they looked at each other all day long when you're connected by the chest. All day, all night. Had to see each other. The one gal can draw beautifully. The other one cannot draw a straight line. The one gal loved to eat. The other one hated to eat. Why? Because the one was eating for two. Now, what you have to understand is this. Although they shared one stomach and one heart, they had separate heads. That means what? They not only had separate heads, they also had separate what? What's inside of your head? Brain. They had separate minds. That's where the problem came in at. They had separate minds. Despite the fact they were living that close to each other. Despite the fact they were hearing the same thing from the parents. But their perspective in life was always different. When one was looking east, the other one was looking west. When one was looking south, the other one was always looking north. So what they saw always was different. And as they started to get older and their minds started to develop, they started to show distinct personalities. They were so much different. And then they started to lash out at each other, literally started to hit each other, strike each other, pull the hair of each other, squeeze each other hard. And the doctor who was taking care of these conjoined twins, he said this. This is the message, I think, of the gospel. That's why I'm bringing this up. The doctor said this: if these girls, these conjoined twins, this particular set, if they are to survive, they will have to find a way to accept the differences in each other. And then he added, if they cannot find a way to accept the differences in each other, they will literally wind up killing each other. That's how life works. Your relationship with family and friends at work. Because we are all so different. All your brothers and sisters who are raised by the same parents, who heard the same things. But everyone's so different. In your family, you might have some who go to church and some who don't go to church. In your family, you might have some who are pro-life and some who are pro-choice. How could that be? They were raised to be pro-life, now they're pro-choice. Because they have their own mind. And they see the world different than you do. Because they're not always looking at the same thing. In your family, you might have some that are full of greed and grab and take. And then you might have some that are always willing to give and to offer, to relinquish. That's the challenge. Jesus was talking about, yes, there's going to be division. But how do you reconcile yourself to divisions that occur within your family? You don't have to condone what your family members do that's going to be different than what you do, but at the same time, you don't have to condemn what they do. You have to find a way to do something that's very difficult, and that's called to accept. I can accept without condemning. I can accept without stop loving. This doctor says something very important about those Siamese twins as he made a summation about their lively existence on the face of this earth. And as you look at your family, and for any one of you here that has family members so much different than you, that have a moral code and posture is so much different than you, that seem to follow a church so much different than one they were raised in, what are you going to do about that? You don't have to condone, but you don't have to condemn. And the challenge is this. And I'll leave you with this. This doctor talking about these conjoined twins as their personalities were really developing and were striking out at each other. And he said this. He said that if they are to survive, they'll have to find a way to accept the differences in each other. Because if they cannot accept the differences in each other, they'll eventually wind up killing each other. If you cannot find a way to accept the differences in your family members, you eventually wind up killing each other, not literally, but figuratively, and destroy what you might consider extremely important, as you should. Your family, your brother, your sister, your aunt and uncle, your mom or dad. Well, they might be different than you. But it doesn't mean that you have to disown or walk away from them. What it should mean is you try to stay close and you do your best to try to understand. You do your best to simply accept.